Minimalism had its moment. Americans jumped at the chance to declutter their homes, wallets, and minds, turning their lives into sleek havens of simplicity. Yet, somewhere along the way, it felt like the trend became a chore. Minimalism is dead, some cried, frustrated with its all-or-nothing mentality. But intentionality? Now that's the word people are sticking with. Call it minimalish, keeping the simplicity, but leaving space for personality. It's not just about clean lines, it's about clarity in life choices. It makes one wonder, is this the balance we've all been searching for, or just another step in our endless chase for meaning? Investing in quality is a wisdom Americans hold close. It feels patriotic, doesn't it? After all, what's more American than finding the perfect balance between value and durability? We've all heard stories of $20 sneakers that outlasted $200 designer disasters. One person humorously recalled their budget blender that couldn't survive its first smoothie. In furniture, forget it. Cheap desks wobble faster than political promises. But here's the catch. Pricey doesn't always mean perfect. Sometimes we're just paying for the name. The real challenge? Spotting craftsmanship in a world flooded with flashy marketing. Have we forgotten what true quality feels like, or are we just too eager to impress ourselves with shiny price tags? This simple mantra has revolutionized American closets and lives alike. If it's not a resounding, hell yes, then why let it clutter your space or your mind? One person shared how this philosophy transformed their wardrobe. No more meh outfits, only clothes that spark joy. Another joked about avoiding work to buy things they don't even love. But here's the truth. Convenience and impulse often win. How many times do we settle for mediocrity just because it's easy? Maybe it's time for a bold shift, to say no more often and rediscover what truly excites us. Are we brave enough to demand joy in all we own? Organization is often praised as the secret to a tidy home, but Americans are starting to see the flaw in this approach. Moving stuff from one bin to another doesn't solve the real problem. As one witty observer put it, you can't put a bow on chaos and call it order. Buying trendy storage solutions is tempting, but it's just masking the clutter rather than addressing it. Another common trap is holding onto items just in case, as if memories or potential usefulness depend on keeping that extra coffee mug or unused gadget. Decluttering forces us to confront not only our possessions, but the reasons we hold on to them. Is the real challenge our sentimentality, or are we simply too overwhelmed to start letting go? Perhaps the first step toward true order is acknowledging that less is more, and that letting go doesn't mean losing, but gaining clarity and freedom. Impulse buying has become an American pastime. It's so easy to click and purchase without thinking, right? But here's a game changer, the simple wish list. One person proudly shared how 90% of their list gets deleted before making a purchase. Another admitted their cart was once filled with boredom buys. Writing things down forces us to pause and consider. Do we actually want this? Or is it just an escape from the stress of daily life? When we finally make a purchase off that list, it feels earned, not like a rushed decision made to fill an empty moment. Is this the ultimate weapon against impulse buying? Or do we just lack the patience to wait for something better? The secret to maintaining a peaceful home is having a spot for every single thing. Americans swear by this rule. When everything has its place, chaos retreats. Sure, the chair pile may still make an appearance, but the habit of putting items where they belong works wonders. One person shared how they always place their wallet in the same pocket of their bag. No frantic searches, no panic. Another noted that keeping their kitchen counters clear makes cooking less stressful. It's not about perfection. It's about creating a flow that feels manageable. What would change if we stopped chasing Instagram-worthy aesthetics and embraced functional order instead? Ever bought a rug only to realize your couch now looks mismatched? Or that cool shirt that doesn't go with anything else in your closet? Americans know the struggle. As one witty shopper put it, the problem you thought you solved just spawned 10 more. Whether it's furniture, clothes, or tech gadgets, the cost of adjustments often outweighs the joy of the purchase. And let's not forget the purchases made on credit. Those come with literal interest attached. Could it be that clever marketing plays on our insecurities? Or are we simply chasing perfection? Either way, what if the real answer is learning to live with a little imperfection? It sounds simple enough. Why are we really buying this? For many Americans, this question has become a true revelation. We've all fallen into the trap of shopping out of boredom, stress, or emotional discomfort. I shop when I'm sad, and then I'm sad because I shopped, one person admitted. This vicious cycle doesn't just drain our wallets, it chips away at our emotional well-being. Reflecting on the why behind a purchase forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Are we truly buying because we need something, or is it just a temporary fix for our deeper feelings? And let's be honest, can we still enjoy shopping without the guilt? Or is this type of mindfulness exactly what we need to break free from the endless cycle of consumerism and reclaim control over our purchases? We've all heard it. If it doesn't spark joy, it doesn't belong. This simple rule, made famous by Marie Kondo, has become a beacon of hope for decluttering Americans. But here's the rub. What sparks joy for one person might just collect dust for another. One person held onto their wedding dress, calling it a slice of happiness, even though they would never wear it again. Another decided to part with several meh possessions without a second thought. But the real question is, how do we define joy? Is it enough to simply keep the items that bring us happiness? Or do we need to consider whether they're truly adding value to our lives? And how do we draw the line between sentimental keepsakes and things we cling to out of habit or fear of letting go? Perhaps the true joy comes not from holding on to things, but from freeing ourselves from the weight of unnecessary clutter and embracing the simplicity of what truly matters. If you can't pay for it in full, you can't afford it. Simple, right? Yet Americans constantly battle the lure of buy now, pay later schemes. One person shared their epiphany after ditching Afterpay. I finally think before I buy. Delayed gratification isn't just financial wisdom. It's a mindset that values patience over instant pleasure. Another confessed that packages they once ordered impulsively arrived as strangers. How often do we convince ourselves we need something only to regret it later? What if the real luxury is slowing down and intentionally saving for what truly matters? Could this principle save us from debt and clutter, or is resisting temptation just too hard? Minimalism isn't just about empty shelves and neutral tones anymore. Americans are redefining it into something more relatable, minimalish. It's about simplicity without the rigid rules, creating a space that feels cozy yet uncluttered. One person described their home as the sweet spot between functional and inviting, where fewer possessions bring more clarity. Others have embraced minimalish by keeping what they love and letting go of the excess, all without sacrificing personality. Could this approach make minimalism more accessible, or are we just softening the rules to avoid tough decisions? Maybe balance, not perfection, is the real key to intentional living. Not all that glitters is gold, and not everything cheap is trash. Americans have learned that value lies in craftsmanship, not price tags. One story stands out. $300 boots didn't last a season, but a thrifted $20 pair endured for years. Fast fashion and clever marketing blur the lines between price and quality, leaving many wondering if they're paying for durability or just a logo. Vintage finds and timeless pieces often outshine their modern counterparts, proving that longevity trumps trends. Is it time to slow down and truly evaluate what we buy, or are we too rushed to notice when quality is staring us in the face? Decluttering sounds simple until emotions get involved. Americans shared how letting go of just-in-case items can feel like erasing memories. One person gave a favorite shirt to a friend, finding joy in seeing it worn and loved anew. Another struggled with parting from a beloved heirloom, but ultimately felt lighter without the burden. It's not about forgetting the past, but making space for the present. How do we decide what stays and what goes? Is decluttering an act of courage, or are we just clinging to things out of habit? Maybe true freedom lies in embracing the moments that matter most. That a cluttered space often feels like a cluttered mind, and many Americans are realizing just how much chaos can affect their well-being. One person shared how they avoided cooking because messy counters made the task overwhelming, leading them to order takeout instead. Another described the calm that came from clearing out their workspace, allowing them to focus without distractions. Decluttering isn't just about aesthetics, it's a mental health exercise. Yet, it's easy to wonder, are we genuinely finding clarity, or are we chasing yet another wellness trend? Perhaps the key lies in focusing less on perfection and more on creating spaces that genuinely support our peace of mind. Sales, boredom, and social media. These are the unholy trinity fueling impulse buys. Americans admit to falling for the lure of discounts and shiny ads, only to regret purchases later. One person revealed how they now take a walk instead of hitting buy, finding that most of their carts are filled with items they don't actually need. Another reflected on how shopping often stems from emotional triggers rather than genuine need, calling it a fleeting escape from daily stress. Can we regain control in a world constantly pushing us to consume? Or are we destined to chase the thrill of new things? Maybe the answer lies in pausing, reflecting, and rediscovering the joy of intentional decisions. For every new item brought home, something old must go. It sounds simple, but sticking to it is where many Americans struggle. One person shared how this rule transformed their home, turning overwhelming closets into manageable spaces. Another confessed they often promised to declutter later, but rarely followed through, leading to even more clutter. This approach forces hard questions. What do we really value, and what are we holding onto out of habit? Is this rule a path to balance, or does it feel too restrictive in a world obsessed with accumulation? Perhaps it's not about perfection, but about finding a system that works, one thoughtful decision at a time. Decluttering isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle shift, and Americans are learning that the hard way. Many shared stories of slipping back into cluttered chaos just months after a big purge. One person likened it to dieting. You might make progress, but without consistent effort, old habits creep back in. Another described the emotional exhaustion of maintaining a clutter-free space, questioning whether the effort is worth it. Yet, for those who stick with it, the rewards are clear: lighter spaces, clearer minds, and a sense of control. Is it possible to make decluttering sustainable, or are humans simply wired to collect and hold on to things? Maybe the answer lies in rethinking not just how we tidy, but why we accumulate in the first place. Every purchase carries hidden costs, space, time, and mental energy, not just dollars. Americans are waking up to the reality that owning less often brings unexpected freedom. One person shared how scaling back on purchases gave them more time to focus on hobbies they truly loved. Another reflected on the weight of maintaining and organizing things they barely used, realizing how draining it had become. Owning less doesn't mean sacrificing comfort. It means reclaiming control over what really matters. Could it be that happiness lies not in owning more, but in appreciating less? Or are we fooling ourselves as the next Amazon box lands on the porch? Perhaps it's time to confront the true price of convenience and clutter. Minimalism isn't about empty homes. It's about fuller lives. Americans are redefining success by choosing relationships, passions, and experiences over meaningless accumulation. One person described how clearing out their closet led to unexpected emotional relief, while another shared how focusing on fewer, high-quality possessions made their daily routine simpler and more joyful. Intentional living isn't just a trend. It's a mindset that prioritizes what truly matters. Yet it raises a question: is this the answer to modern dissatisfaction, or just another ideal we chase? Maybe intentional living is less about achieving perfection and more about making conscious, meaningful choices every day. Social media has turned shopping into a 24/7 temptation, blending advertisements with aspirational lifestyles. Americans confess that scrolling through Instagram or TikTok often leads to impulsive purchases of things they didn't even know they wanted. One person described realizing they'd been influenced to buy an outfit because it looked perfect on someone else, only to find it didn't suit their own needs or style. Another noted how curated feeds create an endless cycle of desire, convincing us that happiness is just one purchase away. But if social media disappeared tomorrow, would we even miss these items? Perhaps it's time to question whether we're buying what we need or simply chasing an illusion crafted by algorithms. Could resisting the pressure to buy be the ultimate act of self-control in a consumer-driven world? Minimalism isn't just a lifestyle. It's a step towards sustainability. Americans are waking up to the environmental impact of consumerism, recognizing that buying less means wasting less. One person shared how cutting back on impulse shopping drastically reduced the amount of packaging and single-use items in their life. Another reflected on how decluttering led them to donate instead of trashing, giving their belongings a second life. Yet, the challenge remains. Can one person's choices really make a difference in a world addicted to convenience? Maybe minimalism is less about saving the planet single-handedly and more about fostering a mindset that values longevity and care. Could this small but significant shift be what we need to combat a throwaway culture?